Join the conversation in Tipperary. Contact us through Facebook, Twitter or email tiptoday@tipfm.com.
And you're very welcome back to Tip Today, 1800 938 007. A €50 voucher from our good friends at Mr. Cashel and Care. Going to Hilda Grace from Art Finnan. Well done to you, Hilda, and I hope you enjoy spending that €50 voucher there. We'll have another one for you tomorrow. And don't forget, in the next hour, I'll be telling you how you can get involved in that competition for the Two Johnnies tickets. Now, a number of well-known organisations in Ireland still retain the word royal in their titles. Among them, of course, the Royal Irish Academy, the Royal Academy of Music, my old alma mater, the Royal Dublin Society and the Royal Society of Antiquaries of Ireland, for example. But is it time for Irish organisations and societies to drop the word royal altogether? Well, our good friend Tom Hennessey believes that is the case, and he joins me now. Good morning to you, Tom.
Morning, Fran.
Good to talk to you today. Why do you think we should drop the royal?
Look, I suppose if you look up royal in the dictionary, it says belonging or connected to a king or queen or a member of their family. And for me, as a proud Irish Republican, I look on that title, it's symbolising, I suppose, the tyranny that was inflicted on our country. And it's also, I suppose, associated with, I mean, we still have a foreign army occupying 6 of our counties. So for me, it's unfinished business. And I can't understand the mentality of people that seem to be, I suppose you'd call it, they're archaic badges or like post-colonial subservience. What are they actually looking up to as regards royal and everything to do with the royal family? Now, not getting into all the scandals they've been involved in, but tyranny is the only word, Fran, for me to describe everything associated with royal. And look, I know my history, but the only thing I can think of is that people somehow don't know the history of the royal family and what was done in their name throughout the world. And it's shocking to be. It's shocking that there's still people like we had a visit there from he's now the King of England, but we had a visit there of
Charles,
that man,
yeah.
And he also went to the Rock of Cashel, and the weekend before that we unveiled a monument there to Sean Hogan just out the road, and we had a great crowd. All local people and Republicans from all around the country. But then the following weekend, like, you had a lot of people queuing up to shake hands with this man as if he's something to be looked up to. And I just think the worrying thing for me is that it's showing, if it's sinking into our younger generations that these people are somehow good. And, you know, I stand by, tyranny is all I associate them with. And
could I just put a counter argument to you on it, Tom, just for the sake of discussion, which is that, you know, it's probably not about royal patronage anymore. Maybe it's just evolved into a symbol of some sort of prestige or something, so that's why they hang on to it. And it's not about being subservient to England or tugging the forelock at Charles or whoever. What would you make of that argument?
We should do again, prestige. What's the prestige associated with sending your armies around the world to plunder and to have your wealth based on the plundering of every, you know, you've seen the map of the world there and where they were. What they've done in our own country is horrendous, and what they've done in places, you know, all around the world is just shocking. And they have a very good PR system. I suppose it's money, the stolen money, that has tried to put them on a pedestal. But, you know, it's time we educate people that seem to be subservient. And I just want to mention there, Tomás O'Coran there, he's a councillor in Galway. He came out there yesterday at the Galway County Council meeting, and he said that the ambassador to England, it was her first engagement outside of Dublin since she'd arrived in Ireland, and he condemned her visit to the city of Galway. You know, he mentioned that since 1169 they've been occupying our island, and look, he said some of the the absolutely horrendous acts that were perpetrated by Crown forces. I mean, you did a story there of a lady called Ellen Quinn, 6 months pregnant, mother of 5 or 6 kids, standing in her doorway, and the Black and Tan shooting her dead. And they had an inquiry, inverted commas, a couple of days later, and death by misadventure. We've seen what happened with the soldier case above in Derry, acquitted. So there's no such thing as a good side to this. And did you mention? There's somebody talking about doing up the Scully cross above in the Rock of Castle.
Yeah, we were to discuss it today, but our contributor couldn't make the programme today. Yeah, we were talking about repairing the cross.
Yeah, I'm not an expert, but I do know his name was Tyrone Scully and the Skinner Scully. And Ballycoohey there, or Cohey outside near Latin Cullen, there's a cross up there. And I mean, this is the man that was involved in evicting hundreds of people. He actually shot dead 2 young tenants. I think they were called Burns. So whoever's coming up with an idea to what should be done with the rest of that cross, it should be knocked down, and we should put up some sort of a monument to our Irish heroes, all the local people.
But you see, if you go down that road, Tom, I mean, where would you even stop? You know, look at all the English place names on our streets still, on our monuments still around the country, and all of that. Where would you stop with it?
Yeah, and just when the Queen of England visited the Rock of Cashel, she walked through the building where you know yourself, Fran, where thousands of the townspeople were burned alive.
That's right, yeah.
By forces loyal to those people. And shockingly, I was up there, so it's 2 years ago now, and there's a big massive picture of the Queen of England up there, and I inquired as to why it's up there, because it's not, it's not our history, and what they did is not, it was
right. Now, the argument. The argument there would be that at least she was there, and maybe it was making some sort of reparation in some way, or maybe an admission that maybe all of this happened, and let's put it behind us in some kind of a fashion. Tom, does that make any sense to you?
I don't buy into it. I suppose
Do you not?
The day our 6 counties are handed back, and we can all live under the green, white and gold of the tricolour, I'd be the first to say, God, it is great they're coming to visit us if our 6 counties are back and there was some sort of reparations paid for the famine. But just getting, you said street names there,
yeah.
And I just want to announce here live on Tip FM that the Sean Tracy Talbot Street in Dublin is named after an English landlord. He was from Malahide, and some years ago there was a drive by the National Graves Association to change that street to Sean Tracy Street. Of course, our great hero was murdered there by Crown agents. So now today we're launching this again. We want Talbot Street renamed after Sean Tracy, and it's been backed by the Tipperary Independent Republican Association. So that's our next history project, Fran. I'm delighted to announce it here, and please God, we'll get nationwide attention, and we'll try and have that street named.
I can't imagine you get an awful lot of opposition to that, Tom.
Hopefully, and we had such a great morning there before the All-Ireland, Fran.
Yeah.
And I remember listening to the great John Lahey on with you there, and he's saying the atmosphere there that was brought into
it was
the...
incredible.
Yeah, I was honoured to be involved with Sean Nugent there, and Eve Hassett, and of course the Rebel Hearts are brilliant.
Yeah.
But those... and another mention there of street names. There was a great man from Cork there, Dermot O'Kyle, and they actually painted over any of the streets with Victoria on them in Cork City in 2017. And further troubles, they ended up in the High Court, and it cost the council down there 250,000. But the judge, in his wisdom, said they were people of the highest moral character, and he didn't convict them. But seemingly, I asked Dermot there this morning, the street names are gone back up again, so it's Victoria, whatever. So, strange kind of an attitude. And I suppose the other thing I see is that we have mountains here. We have the lovely Davy there, and rights to that mountain still owned by a family that has a long association there with the British Army and has served in the British Army. And, I suppose a planter family. All these things should have been tied up, and you have the Blackwater River there, the rights still owned by the Duke of Devonshire, who's a good friend of the King of England as well. So why as a nation are we not maturing and taking back what's ours and be proud of all our great people. Not to be having the conversation about putting back up across there to the Tyrant Scully.
Yeah, it's a very interesting discussion, but I think it was last night with Fionn Sheehan's programme on Virgin or whatever it is. I just caught a little bit of a clip from it, but again, somebody was making a very important point on that when we got the 26 counties back, we didn't make a huge effort to change names. Now, there was the obvious thing, like, Queenstown and Kingstown and all that sort of changes, but we didn't make a huge effort to change names.
Yeah, but you see, the elephant in the room is that they haven't gone away. So, I mean, I would look at all those planter estates that they got to hold on to, huge tracts of land like that. That Duke of Devonshire lad owns, I don't know, they got to 2,000 acres down there on the rights to the river, which is an absolute disgrace. But these were deals done in back rooms, while 77 of our great Irish men were put up against the wall and shot by Free State forces, backed by the Crown forces. They paid them the money and they gave them the guns. This is all out there now. We know this for a fact. And these were the people pushing to have their cronies, their loyal landed people. That, remember, all those people that, as Dan Breen would say, the Irish people, we were treated as serfs and slaves, and most of those families that inherited that land, they were all Cromwell soldiers, like. I mean, these were lads that came into Ireland, mercenaries, basically, and these families then were handed all these tracts of land, and the Irish were told to look up to them. But, I mean, I know my history, and I know who to look up to, and I'd never be looking up to people that, got their land for killing Irish people and driving them to hell or to Connacht.
Yeah, well, I'm going to put it out there. Let's hear from our listeners on this and what should happen. What would be required, Tom, in terms of the royal patronage or the impression of that with various organisations? What would have to happen for that? Would each individual organisation have to make a decision on that? Is that what would happen? Yeah,
and I suppose they can't, unless there's some funding coming still, which I don't think there is, but maybe it's that they think that it gives them name recognition. But to me, and, it's out there and people need to get educated. The name recognition of being associated with Royal is very bad. It's worse than the worst,
Well, could I put it to you? I went to the Royal Academy of Music, and I can put my hand on my heart and say to you, it never even occurred to me that Royal was part. It didn't dawn on me.
Sure, look, and of course, it's nothing to do with maybe the people running those organisations. But look, I would be saying it's time now for them to think about. But here's an amazing story that I found online, Fran, last night. In 2013, the Curragh Golf Club, right, which there's the members of the Irish Army, which are next door in the Curragh camp there, in 2013, they voted to restore the royal prefix.
Go on.
Now,
are you serious?
I went down through this and I couldn't believe it. And I found a quote there by Jude Collins. It was in the Irish Times. He wrote an article. And he said the self-conferring of it, so they succeeded in putting it back on. So the vote was had at the AGM. And the presidency of that club changes between civilians and members of the Irish Army on a biannual basis, is what they said. But Jude Collins said, the self-conferring of this royal title is an attack on the Republican and egalitarian ethos of this state, and the fact that the Irish Defence Forces are parties of this reintroduction of this royal prefix undermines the Republican ethos. Now,
it's an incredible story.
It's incredible stuff, Fran. But there's so much out there. And the other thing, we've had the likes of Bono and Bob Geldof. They've got their peerages. In Canada, even though the King of England is the head of the state of Canada, they cannot accept peerages. Now, that was an article from 2020. I had a quick look this morning, and as far as I know, it's still certain types of peerages can't be accepted because the Canadians still consider themselves a democracy.
Interesting. I have to leave it there, Tom, because we could talk for hours on this. It's most interesting.
Fran,
yes, Tom.
I've won one major fundraiser on tomorrow.
Right, just
night
really quick, Tom, or you'll get me into trouble.
Yeah,
yes.
South, told me my first time, Fran. South Tipperary Autism are running a big night in Bennigan's there. Is it Brannigan's or Bennigan's in the narrow street? I always get that name mixed up. The Spirit of Freedom are playing. It's starting at 7:30, and my good friend Sean Callanan is the organiser, and it's the Bennigan's, down the street there from the flower shop on the narrow street, Mitchell Street.
All right, sounds like a great night. Gurmila Mahaga, Tom, thanks very much indeed. Thank you.
John.
News and information is coming up.
Tip FM's Tip Today.
With Slattery's Garage, puck on. It's time to change. Test drive the award-winning range of Peugeot hybrids and fully electric vehicles at Slattery's Garage today. See slatterysgarage.ie.